Welcome to Cheater Confessions. Let's get started with today's story. I came home just after 8, the kind of late that makes the house feel smaller. The entry light was on. Clara stood at the counter with her shoulders tight, screen glowing in her palm. The moment she heard me, that light vanished. The phone slid under a magazine in one smooth motion. "You're home late," she said without turning. "Traffic was ugly," I answered. "What are you doing?" "Nothing. Just checking in with a friend." She smiled, quick and hollow. I noticed an empty pan drying by the sink and a plate in the fridge. No note, no question. Just food that had already cooled. She had eaten without me. It was a quiet detail, but it stayed with me. "You didn't wait," I said. "You weren't texting back," she replied. "I didn't think you'd be this late." The voice was calm. The tone felt new. I grabbed a bottle of water and leaned on the counter. "Who were you checking on?" "Leah. She's having a rough week." Leah was her safe name. She used it when she didn't want follow-up questions. "That's kind of you," I said. Clara picked at a corner of the magazine, then glanced up. "By the way, I told Tyler Harris you won't make it on Saturday. You said you were drained." I looked at her. "I never said that." She shrugged. "You always complain about those nights. I figured I'd save you one." I set the bottle down carefully. "Next time, don't speak for me. If I cancel something, I'll do it myself." "It's not a big deal, Blake," she said, rolling her eyes. "You're reading way too much into nothing." "Maybe." I nodded once. "Just stick to your own name." For a second, she didn't move. Then she laughed, light and quick, as she had won. "Okay, boss." But her hand went back to her phone too fast, and she kept it face down. The room felt unchanged. That was the moment I knew something had shifted. And I didn't forget it. The gathering was at Melissa Trent's place, a narrow apartment with loud music and drinks lined across the counter. Clara had insisted we go. I hadn't argued. I wanted to see her in a room with people who weren't me. She wore a new blouse, sharper posture, a shine that wasn't meant for home. Her hand stayed on my arm until we crossed the doorway. Then it slipped away, as if it had burned her. "Come on, Blake," she said, already drifting. "Meet my work people." She pulled me toward a small group near the windows. One man stood just a little closer to her than the others. Clean shirt, calm smile, confident stance. "This is Dustin," she said. "We've been on the same project." Dustin offered his hand. "Heard a lot about you." "Only the good parts," I said. Clara laughed too quickly. "He's being polite. Blake is disciplined, lives by lists and rules." The group chuckled. The word rules hung in the air. Dustin tilted his head. "That sounds useful. I could use someone like him around my team." "I don't run teams, I run schedules," I replied, "and I keep my own name on them." The laughter faded. A few eyes shifted away. Clara waved her hand. "He's in one of his moods. Don't mind him." "I will," I said, still calm. "If you want to cancel plans, use your own voice, not mine." Silence slid across the room. Melissa cleared her throat and raised a bottle. "Anyone want another drink?" Conversation moved again, but something had cracked. I watched Clara move through the room. Every time she laughed, Dustin's eyes followed. When she leaned in to hear him better, it was too familiar. When she touched his sleeve, it lasted longer than it should have. I felt no heat, no panic, just observation. Later, as we walked to the car, I spoke once. "You two look comfortable." "He's just easier to talk to than most people," she said, buckling her seatbelt. "That's not a compliment to me. It's not meant to be an insult." I started the engine, then start treating it like neutral ground. She didn't answer. Her phone lit up in her lap. She turned it away. And the road home felt longer than usual. The changes came subtly at first. Clara started running late with new excuses. Yoga classes stretching past the schedule. Long dinners tied to team bonding. Emergency talks that needed privacy and wine. Each reason landed as a coin dropped in a jar already too full. I didn't question her. I counted. Wednesday night, she grabbed her purse with rushed hands. "I'm heading to Leah's," she said. "She needs company. Her boyfriend walked out on her." "What time will you be back?" I asked. "Probably morning. She doesn't want to be alone tonight." She didn't meet my eyes when she stepped out. The engine started fast. The driveway swallowed the silence she left behind. 2 hours later, curiosity, not jealousy, moved my hands. I checked Leah's public page. One scroll was enough to answer everything. She was in Denver, conference badge, hotel mirror selfie. The timestamp glared. I picked up my jacket and walked outside. Clara's car location sat in my phone, a small blue dot across town. I followed it until sleek apartments climbed out of the dark. A black sedan pulled in ahead of me. Dustin stepped out. He checked his phone, then looked up. Clara's car was already there. She stepped out smiling, the kind she hadn't aimed at me in weeks. Their embrace was brief, but it held weight. They walked toward the entrance without hesitation. I didn't knock, I didn't call, I didn't step out. I took out my phone and typed one line. Didn't know Leah lived at 418 Westbrook? Then I waited. 3 minutes passed. Then 4. The doors flew open. Clara rushed out, her face drained, steps uneven. She scanned the lot wildly. My headlights never moved. Car engine roared to life. Rubber squealed against concrete. She fled the lot like a thief caught by light. I followed at a distance as she sped home, broke the clean order of the street, and slid into the driveway too hard. When we both arrived, her breath came in sharp pieces. "How did you—" she began. "You said you were with a friend," I replied. "That location wasn't Leah." Silence landed hard between us. She dropped her bag slowly, and the lie finally collapsed under its own weight. Her chest rose and fell fast, hair loose, hands trembling. "You followed me," she said finally. Her voice cracked, thin and sharp. "I followed the truth," I replied. She dropped onto the chair by the table, covering her face for a second before lifting it again. "It wasn't supposed to happen like this. You said you were with a friend." "I was going to tell you," she whispered. "When? After the apartment? After the next one?" I asked. Her hands opened in the air as if searching for something to hold. I felt lonely. I needed someone to listen. "You had me," I said. "You worked all the time." "And you lied all the time," I answered, calm and flat. She shook her head. "It wasn't serious. It didn't mean anything. You don't rush out of a man's apartment because of nothing." I held her eyes this time. "How long has it been, Clara?" Her silence gave the number more power than words. "Say it," I said. 3 months, she admitted. The room went still. "I didn't plan for it to go this far," she added. "It just happened." "You planned enough to choose lies over truth." She stood, stepping closer. "Blake, please. We can fix this. People recover from worse. You recover from accidents. This was a direction." Tears slipped down her face. She wiped them fast, angry at herself. "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to sleep in the other room tonight," I said. "Tomorrow, I'll decide the rest." She reached for my arm. I stepped away before she touched skin. "I need time," she said. "You had time," I replied. "You spent it on Dustin." Her expression changed at his name, like it cut deeper than the rest. That told me everything. I turned, walked down the hall, and closed the door between us. Not out of anger, out of clarity. Morning arrived without conversation. Clara stayed behind the closed bedroom door. I made coffee, drank it standing, then left without a goodbye. At noon, I sat in a quiet office across from a lawyer named Richard Cole. His questions were precise. My answers stayed simple. He explained options, timelines, protection, and process. I listened, signed an intake form, and left with a folder that felt heavier than paper. At work, I changed passwords, separated systems, and opened a new account in my name only. Each step was clean, no drama. By evening, half the practical future already stood on my side of the line. When I got home, Clara was waiting at the kitchen counter, hands folded too neatly. "I made dinner," she said. "Your favorite." I glanced at the plate. "You don't know my favorite anymore." Her eyes softened. "Let me try again." I sat down, took 2 bites, then stood. Trying is supposed to happen before lies. She followed me into the living space. I cut contact. I blocked Dustin. "Look." She held up her phone for proof. "I don't need a performance," I replied. She stepped closer, touching my sleeve. "I want us. I'm choosing you." "You already chose," I said, easing free. "Now I'm choosing too." Her lip trembled. "So that's it?" "Not yet," I answered. "But we're past apologies." That night, while she cried behind a locked door, I organized papers. Mortgage, titles, insurance, business licenses, tax forms, copies stacked in precise order. A plan began shaping in ink instead of emotion. 2 days later, she shifted tactics. No tears, no raised voice. "Let's book a weekend somewhere," she suggested. "Fresh start." "I'll check my calendar," I said. The same words she used to steal from me. They landed differently now. She watched me like a stranger learning a new language. Behind her calm face was panic. Behind mine was structure. I typed a letter after midnight, burning no bridges, only sealing doors. When I finished, every sentence pointed forward. And for the first time in weeks, I slept without interruption. Dinner passed in near silence. Clara watched my hands more than the food. When I finished, I reached into my bag and placed a thick manila envelope in the center of the table. It rested there as it had always belonged. "What's that?" she asked. "Clarity," I said. She slid a finger under the flap and pulled out the pages. Her eyes moved faster than her breath. A separation agreement, property breakdown, dates, conditions. Her voice barely made it out. "You already decided this?" "Yes." "You didn't even give us a real chance." "You had 3 months of chances." "I didn't." She looked up, searching for anger in my face and finding none. "So, what happens now?" "The house stays with me. It was mine before the marriage. I refinanced once, already settled the difference. You'll receive a settlement to help you relocate. 30 days to move out, 2 weeks to sign. After that, lawyers will speak for us." "I can't believe you're doing this so cold," she said. "This isn't cold. It's clean." Her hands shook while setting the papers down. "And the accounts?" "Already separated." "The car?" "In your name. Insurance will transfer." She leaned back in the chair, staring at the ceiling. "You planned everything." "I corrected everything." A tear fell, then another. But I didn't move. "You don't even look hurt," she whispered. "Pain doesn't need an audience," I replied. She slid the envelope back toward me, as if refusing it made it disappear. "It's real," I said, pushing it back to her. "And it's time." She stood slowly. For a moment, she looked like a stranger who had wandered into the wrong life. "I'll sign," she said, hollow. "But you're ending something real." "No," I answered. "I'm ending something false." She walked out of the room without another word. The hallway swallowed her steps. The table stayed quiet again, but this time the silence felt settled. Tomorrow would finish what tonight had started. Clara moved out within 2 weeks. A cousin across town gave her a spare room. Boxes left the house in small loads, picked up when I stayed at work late. She avoided seeing me. I didn't ask to. The silence we had practiced for months finally became official. Dustin disappeared faster than her tears. When the excitement died and reality showed up, he wasn't interested in responsibility. Clara told Melissa that he had stopped answering calls. By then, friends who once laughed beside her started creating distance. Invitations slowed. Group chats went quiet. Stories travel fast when they are built on truth. Her performance at work dropped. Rumors filled the gaps she had created. Projects slipped, meetings passed without her voice, and supervisors noticed. She called once, then twice, then stopped trying when I didn't answer. The house changed tone. It breathed easier. Walls with no tension carry sound differently. Weeks passed with clear lines. Accounts split as planned. The settlement transferred. Signatures finished the process. The judge approved without comment. A stamped page does not feel dramatic. It just ends something. One evening at a supplier meeting, I spoke with Maya Reyes regarding delivery schedules. She was calm, direct, and focused. No flirtation, no games, just clarity. That felt rare. Clara tried to hold on with one last message. "I didn't think you'd actually leave." I didn't reply. Some lessons don't need an answer. I've closed the loop emotionally and tied it back to the beginning, with a clean power shift and no sentimentality. 3 months after the signatures dried, I ran into Clara at a grocery store. Not our usual one. A smaller place with narrow aisles. She stood in front of the dairy case, reading labels as if the answers changed between brands. She noticed me the same second I noticed her. "Blake," she said. "Clara." For a moment, neither of us moved. No tension, no warmth, just two pasts standing in the same present. "You look steady," she added. "I am." Her hair was shorter. Her eyes carried a heavier weight. I knew she had switched departments at work. I knew she was still with her cousin. Word travels when you stay silent long enough to hear truth. "How's life?" she asked. Clean, organized, honest, I replied. A faint smile appeared, then faded. Dustin didn't turn out to be much. I never expected he would. She let out a breath she'd been holding too long. I thought I'd feel free. I just feel small. You were never small, I said. You just traded respect for attention. The words landed without anger, only fact. On the other side of the aisle, Maya Chen lifted a basket and gave a small wave. No claim, no pressure, just presence. Is she someone? Clara asked. She's someone who doesn't hide her phone, I answered. That was the moment the story closed for her. She nodded once, like a person receiving a final instruction. I am sorry, she said finally. I know, I replied, and I forgive the version of you that didn't know better. But I don't invite her back. She studied me as if memorizing the new shape of a man she no longer had. Goodbye, Blake. Goodbye, Clara. I watched her walk away, no urge to follow, no need for answers. Later that night, at my house, I set my phone on the counter and walked to the window. No need to turn it face down, no need to lock the screen, no name to hide from. The quiet felt earned, not empty. That first night, she slipped her phone under a magazine. I had ignored the warning. Now, I don't ignore the truth. Respect is not something you negotiate after it's gone. It's the entrance fee. And once it isn't paid, you leave the building without looking back. Thank you for watching.